mean, it's not that popular.
That's because of two-thirds area.
There's nobody can do it.
One of the things that we're talking about, actually this morning, myself and Sister Kia, we were going over Edamon degree, you know, like third grade stuff like that, in relationship to concepts. Other thing that I recognize, you know, as you go along and you see people develop and they raise their consciousness. You also recognize that there's a lot of missing degrees that people have that is not openly given. I mean, they're available, but they're restricted, you know. And it's not unlike, share with us what you just said to me in general, for everybody, you know, about organization, unity, things like that. You know, just share with us and hear that, but I want to roll off of that.
Taj and I were talking about, you know, circumstances, how the path that we're following, we're always under attack, so we are always going in different directions. You know what I mean? You know, we're always like, we might have something working in here, and then we have to go here and do a conveyance issue, you know what I mean? Or you might have to deal with the banks over here, something like that, we run back and forth. So I've been talking to some people in government and expressing desire, which is probably going to be in Rudder and Sexton, you know, but the way the government should be set up and departmentalized so that, you know, brothers who are the knowledgeable brothers, the brothers who have the time to really do the study and everything, they can take and they just deal with the issue of the conveyance so that when we have these issues, because what we have a lot of times is people go out there and they sell these packages to people. You know, sell them like a vehicle package or something like that. You know, slap a tag on their car and go out there. And then the policy enforcers will promptly act like they don't get it, they don't want to get it, because they're in the state of, you know what I mean? So, because of that, they need to have government, you know, deal with this issue. Our councils should be having consulate and dealing with their people, so that when we have a problem,
now you notice that?
our people,
Please,
government,
yes.
our people in the government, you know, needs to be dealing with the immigrant hostiles, you know what I mean, the people that are here trying to live off your back, you know what I mean, so that we can, you know, we need to, you know, we need to do these things, you know what I mean, you know, not just talk about it. We got, you know, the government thing is really big though right now, you know what I mean, what we're going to do, because time's running out. Because their thing, they're on a slow fuse. It seems like it's burning faster and faster.
Yeah.
Today, the stock market plunged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 500.
You know,
Dee was just mentioning that.
this thing going back and forth with the U.S. and China. I mean, look, they owe them $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Trillion,
Or
billion.
fiction, you know, whatever that madness is that, you know. But that's who the so-called debt U.S. corporations owe, you know what I mean? So now you got a situation whereas, you know, they're talking, you have to understand, I mean,
Go ahead.
understand what we're dealing with. These people, their perception on things, even though they owe them all this money, they're saying that the action that China's taking is hostile towards them. Overt hostile actions towards them. You know what I mean? You know, y'all know what we do when somebody owes us money. You know, so-called money, you know, fiat, you know what I mean? You know how we act. You know, we go after it, you know, but corporation is pretty hamstrung right now, so.
Well, this has been the pattern. It's why everybody needs to know the real history too. What they have traditionally done is rob people, then genocide them.
Right.
That has never been any different.
Yes, sir.
When people don't know that that's the pattern, they don't prepare themselves properly. Also, they have a tendency to interchange with them in agreements expecting them to maintain honor. They're not going to. This is one of the reasons why the civilized world is uniting and turning on them. But if you knew the prophecies, you already knew that was going to take place. You know what I mean? And we're not talking from a spooky perspective. We're talking about mathematical geometry, calculus. You know, it's already written in every book. The other issue, you know, this is, again, like say if you look at Clock of Destiny 1 and 2, registered in the Library of Congress, it tells you even from 54 on, you know, that the solution will not be necessarily with reason, but it's going to be heavy bloodshed. You know, because it's going to be unavoidable, which means because they don't intend to do anything peaceful. It's not a matter of whether you want to do something peaceful or not. And this is why understanding the dynamics of what's taking place and what's going to take place, you don't put yourself out in those venues. You use your intelligence to start activating that pineal gland because the battle is spiritual. But if you want to take it to the field, he's the God of the material world because he was given the 8 ball. And this is what people don't know about the history. You know, and this is where the danger is in the misinterpretation that people have of the Albion sons. And by not knowing the history, they usually measure their operations by what's available to them, not understanding that they have the 8 ball, which means they have technology in some areas that's 10,000 years advanced. They've just been holding from the public. Do you understand what I'm saying? And by the Asiatics taking it for granted that we made them in the first place, that we remain, what you would say, in a superior position. You may ethereally, but you don't in a material plane. Because that was part of the Yakubian experiment, to create that clever being. And so the problem that we have is that the Red Queens have developed a sick wound, and so many of her sons are insane. Do you understand? And so when you're dealing with insane people, reason, they're clever though. You know, so a person who's pathological doesn't have the same feeling or value for life that you do. So they can smile at you, go see a movie today and eat your baby tomorrow like a steak and not have any conscience whatsoever. And this confuses our people because they don't know the origin of all this. To them it's hate. It's not necessarily Negro is a beast. It's just Negro ain't who they think it is. Do you understand? And then as the people go out into the world, they operate, for the most part, on concepts that were given to them by the European sons from the Rockefeller Foundation, you know, with the General Education Board set forth in 1902. And these people take it for granted that they've been educated. They don't know they've been trained. No different than, you know, any stock cattle. Go ahead. Interface, go ahead.
Is it safe to
Speak
say?
loud, because
Is it safe to say that they're still operating from the Spanish Inquisition?
it is fact to say that. Problem is many of our people not only don't know that, but don't know what the Spanish Inquisition is. So that also makes it tentatively dangerous and makes them supremely unconscious. Because it's sort of like somebody walking through a firing range. Yeah, they pop, 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 pop. They're shooting this way where you are. And they're like, oh, boy. And they're like oblivious, putting on their shades like they ain't nothing happening. Not that it doesn't concern them, but they're so oblivious, they still haven't dawned on them that they're the target. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And then when they start using their reasoning power, they're using the limited education given to them by the Roman sons, thinking that because somebody gave them a certificate that they're educated. Not unlike, as myself and Sister Key was talking this morning, where people, even after being given a consciousness of their pedigree and bloodline, still speak of themselves in third person, which in law makes them incompetent. And it's also a disconnect, but not necessarily recognizing it in themselves, you know. And one of the things, you know, just to share with you, as we were talking this morning, we went through, you know, a third degree Edemond degree, you know, third grade Edemond degree. Some simplistic things, actually. And we did that predicated on the fact that she's definitively been studying, that's for sure. But she wasn't sure about some things. She wasn't grounded with some things, right? And so I presented her, you know, information on the premise of how simple this stuff really is. Not unlike what you were doing when you were speaking to her, and some of the methodologies, techniques that you use when you're communicating with people. But in truth, in the instance, if you don't get caught up, like you say, in making things complex, keep it simple, and you deal with fundamental things, a child can understand this. But if you try to convince them, wrong move. Don't try to convince them. Give them facts. This is why one of the first things that we do, you know, with an Edemond degree, is simply take them to a dictionary. And usually, if they have any books in the house, which is tentative, you know, because many of our people don't do that anymore, and that used to be our culture. The library was, in our house, it was like part of the kitchen. Until after the Spanish Inquisition, now our people are scared of books. You know, and then the imams and preachers working for Rome always telling them as soon as they start studying, getting some knowledge, that that's a sin. You're apostate, that type of stuff, and, you know, you're turning your way from God, and this is too much for you, and they're not ready. All those kind of statements that sound like they care about you.
Right.
Meanwhile, the people don't know these people about the Skull and Bones Agreement. They're the money changers that's talked about, Quran, Bible, WASPI. They are the money changers. The very priesthood who they've trusted. You know, and we don't need to argue about that. You know, you can go right to Secret Treaty of Verona. An average person, there's congressional records, right? An average person is not even aware of the clergy's oath. And the clergy took an oath to Jesus to submit the people to Jesus, to deliver them to God and all this stuff, right? Just as an interim, and we, of course, we were talking, we had some things to do, and gladly, Brother Tawfiq, you know, took over, and you all interchanged, but it just shows you, a natural person does not need semesters and semesters to be properly educated. They just simply know the rules. You need to know the rules, foundations, the Edemond degree. That will teach you how to teach yourself. That'll teach you how to find out things that you do not know, because you're using rules. But just as a, pardon me, as an interim, let's deal with, as an example, House Joint Resolution 192, right? And as we were talking earlier, you know, just like many people, as they go to school under the school system, which is the Rockefeller Foundation set up for to make them docile. They've heard of the Monroe Doctrine, from which you get, acts of state, etc. This is dealing with international interchange and international law based in principle, whereas one nation state cannot interfere in the sovereign affairs of another nation state, but particularly it was addressing the European nations not interfering with the Christian nations operating in the Western Hemisphere. All right? Now, of course, people who don't know the history don't understand that these are inquisitionists trying to protect their claim. Do you understand? And yet, they'll hear about the Monroe Doctrine as an example. And Brother Tawfiq was mentioning this on the way down, as we were traveling. Now look at this. This is House of Representatives, Congressional Record, Senate, extract from 1916. Keep all these things in timeline in your mind, taking into consideration the secret meetings that were held by Woodrow Wilson with the bankers of London and with representatives from the popes of Rome actually enforcing this. 1913 to 1916, set up of the Inquisition Revenue Services, which you know as the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, is really the Inquisition Revenue Services, right? And then the Federal Reserve for the what? For the subversion of and the overthrow of the Republic. And even right now, most people keep looking at those persons as legitimate government because they still don't recognize there was a coup that took place 1861, reaffirmed 1871, and it's reaffirmed in what is known as the Act of 1871. All right? Interject.
On 1861 a little bit more. How did this take place in 1861?
When the Congress adjourned sine die, all right, let me write this down because these are things that you need to know. I don't see that
I didn't see it either, man.
the marker boards. Hold on, excuse me just a minute. I guess they hide those markers from the children because of children, they start writing and stuff. Which, all right, thank you. By our people not knowing real history, most of the Asiatics at North America who operate, on the black brands have a total disconnect with government. And that's about, I think it's about May 10th, right, 1861, the Congress adjourned. It's called sine die. Now, what's important about that? Anybody just interject?
We're done.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're done.
Lawfully, in fact, legally, in fact, the United States was dissolved. The Union was dissolved.
Is that like after South?
Say it again.
Is that after South Carolina?
This is the period of the secession that they talk about, the secession. And of course, between just after this, a couple of years after this, where they murdered Lincoln. And he fought to hold the Union together. And one of the reasons that Lincoln was assassinated is because he had no power to actually execute that war. Because the United States had been dissolved. Therefore, all the officers were dead. So from a legal, honest legal perspective, he was just simply a renegade running a war, trying to maintain something that the people themselves didn't agree with.
I read say that he ran up against the bankers.
We're not talking about what, respectfully, we're not talking about what our personal opinions are.
No,
We're simply talking law right
He
now.
ran up against the bankers too.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know what it was,
Yeah.
but the real deal that we're saying is the United States is not a country. It's a private corporation. And if it's been dissolved, you can't take up arms and make it live. But most people don't see it that way because in their mind, the way they've been trained, they're thinking that the United States is a country. They don't know that the actual country is Morocco. The United States is the political union that bonded under treaty with Morocco and had actually been in the process of overthrowing. Do you understand?
Yes.
And most people, when they're analyzing history, don't know that fact and have no inference of it whatsoever. So their whole mentality is the United States not only being Americans, but being America, when it's actually a British colony and never been anything other than that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so therefore, their thoughts, their whole thoughts about how to look at the politics at all, even people that are alleged to be conscious, are usually screwed. Because given a truth canvas, they still revert back to the Rockefeller Foundation training grounds. And thus, there's a disconnect. It's called cognitive dissonance. And by that cognitive dissonance, not unlike what we're talking about, is the basis upon which their corporate states have escheated the estates. This is where, as when you understand, when you're looking at communications and American historic documents, etc., where you'll find George Washington's letters, some of his correspondence, which you won't find in the common dictionaries, common school books, which we show you sometime in the treaty book, where, you know, most people when they read it, they're shocked when he's talking about other presidents before him, first line, and they've been trained that he was first president, you know. And even after getting information like that, they're still approaching this whole forum incorrect because they haven't purged. It's only another piece of interesting data that they usually put in a drawer and say, oh, I got a copy of that. But their mind and their language does not reflect that. It has dawned on them what they're dealing with. Do you understand? Not unlike, say, as we were talking to Horace Greeley, the New York newspaper tycoon, was one of his great supporters and was suggesting to Lincoln, before this crap went down, to end servitude, to end slavery, before even Lincoln even considered it realistic. But he was looking ahead, seeing, you know, things that were going down. You know, and this is again whereas when you start talking to people that are given credit for being conscious, this is what we're talking about this morning. Consciousness comes in degrees. But in order to be really effective, you have to have 360-degree masonry. You can't have a few degrees and then think that you're going to deal with these magistrates who are high priests. It's not going to happen because emotions are not going to get it. This is why it's important for them to always put a negative spin on masonry. You understand? Or the activation of the pineal gland, what is called the seat of David, which implies, in fact, Illuminati. To give it a negative so that you don't examine it and liberate yourself from them. So everything, 90% of what they claim to be negative, you should examine it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're being engineered against yourself. Just like they'll say witch is negative. Witch means wise woman. And so if you hate witches, that means you want woman suppression. And who are some of the major negative critiques of witches? Women. And they're casting spells against their own rise. But then they complain about the results of the prayer that they themselves are casting because they don't know that words have that power. But that's social engineering. So they train people to cast spells on themselves, and they stand to the backside and wait for the carnage, and then they devour. And so we have all these multiple human services type things. They create the problem, come with the solution, but it's always going to cost you both blood, energy, and life, and your families. And of course, these people always believe in them because they usually say Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, and the people get teary-eyed giving them lunch money. And it always works. So, you know, and it's quite difficult to really get them to deal with reality. But I'm coming to this and save some questions for a minute because I want to build a canvas. Senator Owen, I wish to put into the record the secret treaty of Verona of November the 22nd, 1822, showing that this ancient conflict between the rule of the few and the rule of the many. I wish to call the attention of the Senate to this treaty because it is the threat of this treaty which was the basis of the Monroe Doctrine. It throws a powerful white light upon the conflict between monarchical government and government by the people. The Holy Alliance, under the influence of Metternich, the Premier of Austria, in 1822 issued this remarkable secret document. There's also American Diplomatic Code, 1778-1884. So keep in mind, when you're looking at timelines, 1884, what other primal political activity took place 1884-1885? That is primal to the entire world's politics. It's called the Berlin Conference. And this is where the Constantinian nations were dividing up the residuals of the Moorish Empire under the guise, subtitle of the Ottoman Empire. Do you understand? And all of these policies and maneuverings set forth the politics that you live today. Systematic slow walking of engineering the entire planetary politics. And the people, by not knowing their history or their bloodline, totally are disconnected and have no relationship to it mentally, but it has everything to do with them in fact. This is why it is necessary, and was necessary, for like the Rockefeller Foundation, etc., and other so-called educators and priesthood to promote human beings as crayons to disconnect the people from their pedigree. This is where Carlos Linnaeus comes in, and Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, etc., with the phenotypes, etc. And this is where you get your color code systems today that people keep thinking is ancient African, people of color, and they think that means African people, like it's some kind of endearment, and it means artificial people, fraud, fakers. I took her to the dictionary, showed her to that, because you know, a lot of people take these terms and phrases and think that they're legitimate and have no idea of what their origination is. And this is where you get the etymon degree. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Why it's necessary. And what you find is that our people get a lot of information, but there's a lot of missing keys that they need, and they have a tendency to not dedicate themselves to the redemption of their estate the way they would do if they were going to school for a job, right? Or JOB. Say they want to be a computer analyst, or they want to be some kind of engineering, or they want to work for the city, they'll go, or some kind of civic service, they'll go through all kinds of tests, high hell and high water, go to schools, go into debt, study night and day, take tests, and when it comes to their birthright, they'll study once in a while, get some interesting information, and they stop being active and wonder why it doesn't work. There's no adhesion. They don't invest in themselves the way they invest in what is used against them. And that's what they count on. Because they train them accordingly.
Diabolical.
Do you understand? Meanwhile, their so-called quote-unquote black leader guys, unbeknownst to them, got 501c3 skull and bones agreements for kickback. But to keep the sheeple asleep, they're trained to think that it's a tax exemption from God for teaching the word. The skull and bones agreement. The same skull and bones they be standing behind the pulpit talking about, and that Illuminati stuff, and they don't know the Lord, and they don't pray us, and they talking other stuff, and they're in their pockets. Here's their secret, here's their oath of all the clergy in the congressional record. So it's also further affirmation that there ain't a politician out there that don't know this. And them same door, back door, go to the White House, marching, praying, keep hope alive, black leader guys that always calm down the sheeple when they're getting raped. And acting like they doing something good, always talk about racism and all that kind of stuff. And the people don't know it's diversionary. And them same marching, praying Negro leader guys, here's their oath. And it goes for all these buildings that you see all around here that they've been calling houses of God. Here you go. Article. And I'm skipping because I'm just saying strictly the point, because time, so I want to make sure that y'all get some substance. Let's read it together, you all. This is the secret oath of the clergy. Article 3 of the Secret Treaty of Rome. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes. The high contracting parties declare it to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt with the aim of ameliorating their own interests. Intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes and the contracting powers join in offering their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicit his constant cooperation in their views of submitting the nations. And what do the masses always told about the clergy? That they're submitting them to Jesus. They're submitting them to the Pope. The same Romans that murdered all of the prophets is really where these people are delivering them knowingly. And this is why they have no conscience asking these people, get them a $60 million plane. This is why they have no conscience, because they're ameliorating their own interests. And the dumb people think that they're separated from the state when they themselves are the state of affairs. Do you understand? And what occurs if you try to inform or educate the average person, they will start accusing you of being ungodly, attacking Jesus. You haven't prayed enough. You're not a believer. It's shirk. You're an apostate. You're a backslider. You lost faith. And the one that has perpetrated that fraud is standing behind, look, pulpit. Vampire right in your face. That's how assured that they are that these people are asleep. They're ameliorating their own interests. And that's the clergy oath. Is that oath to Jesus? Is that oath to God? That oath is to the Pope. Now you understand why they get the 501c3 agreement? And as soon as Jay-Z or Rihanna or someone try to send a signal to the people about their true birthright, trying up, trying down, yeah, that's Illuminati devil stuff. Ooh. They probably eat peanut butter sandwiches without jelly. Ooh, you know? And then jealous because they made a few notes. They didn't pay it all. They supposed to be broke like the rest of them, you know, like Red Fox go to the grave broke. Walcott, my cousin, the boxer, I had to do his funeral. You know, multi-millionaire broke. Do you understand? Huh? Yeah. And it's on and on. That's what these people want of Jay-Z and Rihanna and all. They're angry because they taking some control of their estate a little bit. And Illuminati paid off to do the devil stuff. These people are full of doo-doo. And they don't know what's going on. And they sell their babies out to the same clergy that they think love Jesus. And these servants, because that pastor, he really said it because he's speaking in tongues. La 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 la, little peanut butter sandwiches. Hey, that was deep. Yeah, they full of crap. They're working for the Pope. And if you say this without information, without showing them the document, they'll accuse you of a devil. Guaranteed 90% of them. Church, mosque, or synagogue, all the same bag. They're just different pretzels, you know, round pretzel and some of the square pretzels. Salam, brother. All right, go ahead, sign in. So I wanted to show you that, but I also, because it's a continuation of our conversation too, and a continuation of probably conversation you had with Brother Tawfiq, because the same conversation we had is beneficial to anyone, because you must clean up fundamental concepts before you can clean up anything else. If they don't know the real history, and this is another point too, because most people are not aware that history and law go together. They think they're separate subject matters. And therefore, they're always in a sense of disconnect. This is what those who rule depend on, that's where your head is. Why? Because the people that have been leading your communities are paid off to have you on a social engineering treadmill. But you didn't believe it. They working for Jesusness. There it is right there, second line from the bottom. Fourth word, second line from the bottom, the Pope. And I think that's called Rome. The same Romans that ran Jesus, Yeshua, out of Galilee. And the priesthood who really was attacking his character, plotting with Rome to assassinate him. And who got blamed? The devil. Who did it? The priesthood and Romans. Who got blamed? The devil. Who did it? The priesthood and Rome. A child can see that, but adults have difficulty dealing with reality because it doesn't fit their beliefs. They are the biggest dark-hearted hypocrites the world has ever known. That's why their families are done. They can't maintain personal relationships. IRS takes all their businesses, kicks them out of their homes after they work their work life out. Can't own crap. They buying and selling with the mark and the number of another man's name and don't even know that that's what they're doing. They don't only understand the operations of wardship tenures, and they're in wardship tenures. They don't know they have an estate. They don't know nothing about estate law or trust. Or they know when Jesus is coming though, when God's gonna kick the devil's ass on Tuesday, sell your bike type stuff. And the beer was coming through, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, let's meet at Mount Zion, all that kind of stuff for the rapture. We are so full of it. And you start giving these people facts, and you think you've seen devil's horns before, they will start rising out the back of the dang, really ain't a bouffant, is it? It's not a beehive hairdo you got, is it? It's pointy on the ends and shit. Telling you. And I say that as a joke, but it isn't a joke. Some of the most meanest spirited people that you'll ever find is people who claim to be believers.
That's right.
Right.
As soon as you don't give Reverend James his amelioration
That's right.
that he lied and says Jesus is half.
God.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
Charge it up.
Yeah. You got yeah, go ahead, right here. Now, we had started talking earlier, and we didn't get so far. We talked last night, and of course, you want to put on your flash drive. On the floor. How many of you are aware of Horace Greeley?
Horace Greeley.
Two of them.
Heard of, yeah, heard of.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that wasn't.
I've heard of Horace
I had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Almost
All right.
pregnant.
Yeah. Now,
I'm there for school times.
no, I'm just picking on you. Because I'm making a point.
Right?
And this is much to do with what I was saying, even when we talked earlier the week, and also when I talked to James and Satet and Brother Paul, and also when I didn't do the radio show the week before. I did the show yesterday, but I didn't do the radio show the week before because I've been busy, which you already know. And going over, because, you know, to update, because many of the brothers and sisters are entering the degrees of the Great Seal order. And so, by right of claim, they're to be exposed to 360-degree masonry. And that is the truth unfettered. That means the raw truth. Not that we haven't been giving it to them anyway, but be giving them more what you call grounded reference information that's copyrighted, which means that basically it's not even supposed to be in their hands. Do you understand? But certain things in the process I explained to them and showed them documents, etc., to comprehend. But in relationship to what you were just saying earlier, Great Seal Order is order of government. It is organization. It is organized government. Tomorrow, which at the York House will be demonstrated. Do you understand? And it's always been operative, but it's usually not exposed to you. And it's usually, much of what we do over the years is try to prepare people so that they're capable of taking on those degrees. If they don't show enough interest or dedication, you don't give it to them because they'll usually contaminate them. And they'll start doing black stuff, which is corrupted. What they think is Hotep divine of melanin, of the Hotepness of two pyramids. You know, it's serious. And you can't tell them anything different.
School of knowledge.
So certain information that actually is available to them is held back because they're corrupt. And as a matter of fact, for many of you who do know, and we won't need to go into it, there's many people who've been given those degrees, and the power soaked their head and they immediately got corrupt and been raping people. Economically, politically. Oh, caressing their keisters too. But, I mean, but basically that. You know, and so, yeah, I did that. So it's been protected to some degree. However, by necessity, because one of the agendas of Rome is, and we're talking blunt truth, is to kill off the heirs as the transfer time comes nigh. Which means when it becomes absolutely obvious that the transfer is going to take place, they will ramp it up You're already in that cycle right now.
Yes, sir.
This is also why now they're going after the women too, openly, which they usually was kind of backed off a little bit. Now, they'll kill women right in the street and take their organs too.
That's right, that's right.
Do you understand? And that's the largest growing prison population
That's right.
in the world today is the Asiatic woman under United States Corporation Company jurisdiction, which stupid people will say in America's jurisdiction. They're not Americans. They're European colonists carrying out their secret treaty of Verona under the Spanish Inquisition. Exactly what Brother Tawfiq is saying. And the people being asleep are sitting around talking about racism, prejudice, they don't like my color, and things like that, and they're exercising war games that never really ended.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, brother.
Although, according to treaty, they were supposed to stop that crap. Do you understand? This has much to do with Obama going before that great grand convention of international people and exposing that the American Constitution is derived from Muslim law, and made it very clear, and had international community take pictures of him and Michelle coming through double doors with the Moorish flag to the left, big as day. And at the same period of time, Hillary Clinton, being a DAR, daughter of American Revolution, spoke from the Ben Franklin room, which they never do publicly, with 3 Moorish flags behind that, appealing to the world after they bombed the gun runners in Benghazi from that embassy. And with most of our people, it still goes like this, right over their head. Rahm Emanuel, the Jew, at the same time, according to Circle 7 North Gate, with the first full day of the winter solstice, issued a proclamation from his desk telling the history and the estate of the Moors and what Noble Drawley did, and published it. And it's still go over their head. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And not unlike, and Sister Kia can attest to it, now she's a scholar in her own right, and she's been studying for years. But yet certain fundamentals that are rooted to her own geological studies, geographical studies, genealogical studies, assumed nativity. Root keys were missing. And we went over dictionaries, and I showed her simplicity that at first she had kind of a feeling that it wouldn't be so simple. As a matter of fact, as we were talking, almost all the way, there's almost looking for a hook, and then it still comes back to simplicity. And then you're still looking for another hook, only because you're unfamiliar, and still comes back to simplicity. Then you have to kind of recognize, which is hard to do, people knew this stuff all the time, and people around you who you thought should be teaching you have been playing you, ameliorating their own interests. Hard to accept, but it's true. Do you understand? Because people develop a heart connection with the leader guys and the leader girls. And they just never suspect that they're using them. And don't mean they don't like them or they don't love them, but they're not really in it to raise these people. Do you understand? And then when you look at brothers and sisters, just like our, the inspiration, the work, because you've been in the circle that yourself and Paul and have been doing, and even the inspiration of even starting high frequency radio had much to do with the work that's ongoing. And the sacrifices done to bring certain things about, to seek remedy, while at the same time studying and evolving even thusly, because it is a necessity. Meaning learn to box while you're in the ring.
And it ain't
Do some
15
lumps.
rounds.
You understand what I'm saying? Dang, last week, oh, you mean this is a jab? You finally figured that out, huh? Yeah, man. You know, and it's for real. But, after a while, you have a lot of information and you start getting active and you start initiating things. And then you start going out there doing what you call liaison, interfacing with them more directly. And it's usually with some program that they presented to you that you're going to capture something to liberate yourself, which they don't know is a game. Because it sounds like, oh, this is finally got the one that works. Here's another apple for you. Then of course after they bite it, damn, it's nice and shiny. You know how they used to dip those candy apples we used to get when we were little? Right. And they would always do it with the bad apples. The candy coat was so good to children. These brown spots, but I'll work it. You know what I mean? That's how you get rid of the bad apples. Give them banana shakes with the overripe bananas and stuff. Put up with the chocolate cream and stuff. Hey, man, that ain't chocolate. But this is what I recognize, and seriously, and particularly because what you discover, but understand I'm not knocking it, so don't misunderstand where I'm coming from. And I don't discourage it because we need these learning curves. You know how you say, take children, you get to put training wheels on, and even though they got training wheels, you start getting them little patches because your knees going to get scarred up and little things like, you know, that kind of stuff, and you patch on it, whatever. It is with us. But when you see brothers and sisters start really getting in this groove, running from this remedy to the other, first the UCC 1 file, then the apostille, then capturing the birth certificate, then going to the SECUSIC number on the back of Social Security number, then going to Harrisburg, then going to Trenton, then going to Washington, D.C. And they ain't caught on yet. But the offer is always conclusionary, but the work is never concluded. They're buying time. But it doesn't mean don't ignore what they're doing, what they're telling you, because you also learn. But if you think, all right, here's my check. No, it's forged. They're using your energy to buy time. Because their mandate is up. But if you don't know the real history, you keep approaching them like they're government, and they're finally going to release the bond on the birth certificate and the CUSIC number on the Social Security. I got this one, man. And every time you interface with them, go to them different offices, they're going right into that Sister Q trust because you got to interface with them. Right. Then what do? They take the information that you give them and add it to the dossier. Got all your financial statements. Got a total concept of what you transfer, what you don't. They don't have to investigate. You bring it to them, thinking you're going to get a taffy. And then after people run that for a couple of years, then they got something new for them. When they finally figure out, damn, that shit ain't work. Let's look at this. Let's talk experience. I'm going to talk experience to you. Round 73, 4, 5. Many European sons were doing what they call HMOs, site drafts. And site drafts, HMOs, are pretty much in the order of what you see them doing with UCCs now. And keep in mind, just as a canvas of your knowledge base, that the commercial codes did not become uniform until 66 to 68 when they blackmailed representatives of Texas to go along with the bull crap for the feudal order of operations under the secret treaty of Verona and the coup of 1871. Do you understand? And so, people, thank you so much, people who don't know history and law, or who separate the two, don't make that connection and can't make the connection because they live in a vacuum. So they don't understand that people in your so-called religious orders and your so-called community active martyr guys and girls, and all your politicians belong to secret societies. And they are deliberately, educationally, symboliographically educated in degrees that they pay thousands of notes for to keep them abreast with what must take place in social engineering. Are we clear? So there is no politician and so-called imam and rabbi and Martin Keep Hope Alive leader guy, okay, how good they sound to you, that don't know this. And 99 and 9/10% of them got a 501c3 skull and bones kickback agreement not to rock the boat. We're rocking the boat right now. That means they ain't getting no conversation like this. Their job is to talk racism and colors, to convince people to keep on claiming, see, I'm a light-skinned, orange-skinned black man of the blackness of the hotepness of 2 pyramids. Can I get a witness? And everybody starts doing all this stuff. Really, I'm serious. And they have no idea that he's a COINTELPRO operative. They just don't believe it. So there's no need to try to convince them. They just have to suffer this out. Because they just doo-doos in their face like this on the lawn. They tripped them on the lawn. Somebody spilled peanut butter on the lawn. Then you see the lady walking the dog. It's rotten peanut butter too because it stinks. It's not peanut butter.
Yep.
It's not. No. I don't believe you. Can you prove it? Yes. That's us. Just don't think doo-doo stinks. Even though one's all the way up this nostril. I'm serious. Because it doesn't match their beliefs. Anyway, this is what's important, and what I'm saying to you. Horace Greeley is one of the most important figures in contemporary North American history, with policies that not only shadow North America, but reinforce the operations of the Inquisition, colonial supremacy code systems. And he's not in his origin of intent necessarily a negative person, so don't misunderstand this. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's important for you to know the history so that you can look at things proper. How many of you are familiar with the Mama's Parade in Philadelphia? See how the hands raised? But if I asked you the history of it and what it really represents, most hands would remain down. That's the disconnect. Do you see, where we're coming from?
Right.
If I talk about the Monroe Doctrine, most of you would talk, oh, I remember that in 3rd grade. But if I tell you about the secret treaty of Verona, from which was the inspiration for its construct, you have no knowledge. See what is called the disconnect? The very reason it all exists, and they have no root foundation. Meanwhile, they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad. And give me $5. So I can give him $250. God's half. And they keep getting away with it. And these people, it ain't dawned on them yet that they're being played. They just can't accept that they're being played. Because their beliefs are so strong, type thing. They got strong faith. They don't know that faith and fiat are relative. And both of them are counterfeit. That's why it's called blind faith. And that's how these institutions work. They work off the energy of believers because what? They can't get it from masters, they can only get it from believers. Because it doesn't require facts, because they don't deal with facts. They deal with dogma and call it spirituality. Yeah, I got faith. Don't take my faith.
It's unseen.
And then take your $5 from them. All of a sudden,
Hopeful but unseen.
yeah. But anyway, so let's go a little bit into Horace Greeley, because I really want to share this with you. And I'm gonna make sure that this is available to you all before I go to Texas. All right. And so you all will see DA. All right, Horace Greeley, this is an excerpt from the Superliminal, and updating you back to what we were talking about before, because so many people coming in the great order of the Great Seal is put a lot of pressure on us to clear up the platform and get some things done to make sure that they start off on the right foot. We have a lot of degraded copies of materials that come from the Institute, but it's copyrighted material. Now, I've been communicating with the Sierra and Ohio for them to accept that I did some modifications on some of the lessons. However, there was one sheet that they issued over the years on Horace Greeley. And of course, I've written about Horace Greeley in my Superliminal book. So knowing that it's going to take years for a lot of people to gather concept information, I just expanded on it, and this is part of it. Although this is not all of it, it's part of it. But so it's about 22 pages compared to that one page. But even then, it's not complete. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But it's to help you. You must know. Hold on. Let me see here.
Yeah, no.
I should put at. Yeah.
Uh-oh, that makes it 24 pages.
Yeah. Now, Horace Greeley was a New York newspaper tycoon, specifically the major editor and founder of the New York Tribune, which they refer to as it's the Tribune. They refer to it as the Tribune. That was his nickname. All right? Horace Greeley has had more power, influence in the policies and politics of the United States Corporation Company operating at North America than 90% of the presidents that you'll ever know. He ran for president and lost that presidency to Ulysses S. Grant, who is the signator to the Naturalization Act of 1870 that's related in the free white person's status issue in law dictionaries. That was the amended form. Originally, one in 1790, 80 years earlier, which is another subject matter. But by people not having a background in history, they can't correlate activities. They can't see with multiple eyes. Do you understand? Scholars and researchers do, because they do things on an etymological and investigatory basis with the knowledge already that law and history go together. They don't have to figure it out. They know that.
Yeah.
where they know that most people that are left to the belief in faith degrees are not aware of it, are never told it, don't know that their leader guys and leader girls are trained in it, and they're trained to speak hypnotically. They're trained to speak hypnotically. That's why they be walking around.
It's this,
So that's why they're like,
there's a term called homiletics.
yes, homiletic.
Yeah, the term is homiletics.
Yes.
You just want to write that down?
This is, no.
Anyway, and they're actually trained in that, you know. And so people not knowing that they're sheeple and that they're looked at just like machines and batteries, you know how they measure them and see how much energy is out of them. And people don't believe that that's how they're looked at. And it's impersonal too. And when the battery's used up, they discard them.
I paid my bill and they threw me out of my house.
You were sharecropping. What point they read their papers? Because they know they can't read.
I got 2 degrees in college in this.
And paper call them a tenant. And they talk about their own stuff. Not only that, the name that's on it don't belong to them. They ain't figured that out either. But they know Jesusness. We're full of it. And the state was as cheated as soon as they signed their name. They gave them 72 hours to accept the deed and convert it to an estate. And after 72 hours, they create a third-party trustee, sell the mortgage, separate the mortgage and the promissory note, and hold them to the bond of the promissory note, and the mortgage is dead. And now they become the pledge. But they know Jesusness. And wonder why our communities stay poor with all this fake salvation they keep perpetrating against their own children. And then watch them die younger and younger in the street and always talking about they didn't pray enough. You know, it's kind of stupid statements. You know, like they got a special direct phone number with God and nobody else does. And they got their only families that's falling apart. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Everybody else in their communities selling somebody else's hair because they can build these churches, but they can't build a business for their children. And as soon as they get any kind of fiat or any wealth, after that, IRS comes out and steals it all. But it don't belong to them either because it's not even money. They are digital accounting entries. Private commercial paper for digital accounting, double stock trust, bookkeeping entries. What a Federal Reserve note is. It's a note of debt. And what I just said is exactly lawfully and legally what that instrument is. And these salvation people keep telling their children this plan. And they will tell you they know Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, and all this stuff. And then they got these guys, well-dressed middlemen, and they do what I just showed you. Their third Trinity, article oath to the Pope. And these people tell you they're worshiping Allah and Jesus. They work for the Pope. Fact. Anyway, this is Horace Greeley. This is Horace Greeley. And we're going to get past some of this because we want to get to some pertinent points. The Moorish parade that takes place in Philadelphia, which is really Amexem, that's the real name of the area of Philadelphia. And the Moorish parade is a celebration of the fall of the Moors. And initially they do it in what you call coal tar. They take coal tar and they wipe it on their faces like that. The European, one of the most famous European entertainers of the early ages called Al Jolson, something like that. And they used to do the blackface, what they call coal tar. And this is how the mummers was always run up into the Good administration. In the Good administration around 85, that's when they stopped it. Because Wilson Good, who was mayor of Philadelphia was also secretary, doing some secretary work also for the Moorish Science Temple too. So there's conscious.
Dang.
And then after they bombed the move, they issued a proclamation from the chambers at Philadelphia for these people called niggers, Negro colored people, to declare their nationality non-pro-tunk, which is a legal term of now for them. That's that paper that was blown all over the floor, you know, from Regency Natal. As a matter of fact, I would have bought that, and I wish I had it on here, but I'd show it to you. You know, also when people, and this is back to the point, when people think that the rest of the world don't know that they're Moors, or they're even hesitant to be clear about it, even to make the statement, reaffirms both the naivety and the incompetence. It's sort of like a person going to a prom with two big, gigantic, cigar-sized marijuana joints, blunts in their face, with a Nike sneaker on with neon lights on it, talking about, you think the people know I'm smoking? This is where it is with these people to the world saying, you think we Moors for real? You know, some people say that we, and you know, some people say, and I know some guys, and, you know, total incompetence. But they don't see it because they don't know the world. Everybody knows but you. And your family members. And they're living off of it, ameliorating their own interest. Anyway, Horace Greeley is attributed with this statement that you've heard from time to time, go west, young man, and grow with the country. And this is where you get the tradition of the mummers dressing in South Philly, and they would assemble at 6th and Moore Street, and then go westward. And on Broad Street, you make a right turn, and go past the Battleground, which is City Hall, which is architecturally designed just like a mosque, with 4 gates and a parapet at the front, at the top, at the north. Building pen standing 23.5 degrees east by northeast, facing the Grand Masonic Lodge, 1 North Broad Street, and that's when the parade would end, after judgment. And these Asiatics in the areas know about that parade for generations and don't even know it's about them. And many of them, you heard them over the years talking about, how come there ain't no black people in there? Those kind of statements, it's funny. Because most of them were black people. Almost all the members are black people. 99% of them are black people. It's Europeans. But the people don't know that black is European. You take them to the dictionary. Black. Middle English. Go to etymology. 1150 to 1500. Derived from Old High German. Means shining pale. So the people don't know that black man is pale man. So they think that they are the black people. But they traded places. It's another reason you need to know about Horace Greeley. He's the one that set up the Republican Party. And he's the one that set forth the philosophy for the red sons of Europe to take on the legal status term that was denied them, free white person. And that's when the Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath was set forth in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1854, and the Europeans from the Whig Party started calling themselves white men. And our people don't even know that history. That's Horace Greeley. And all of your modern day politics and control systems, policies, came from that brain. And now 99% of the Moors who have been defeated call themselves black people. And then claim to be spiritual too. And knew Jesus and Allah and Muhammad and stuff. And the Europeans are laughing all the way to the bank because they have direct inroad to their sister Q trust, etc., which was set up with this. It was set up.
Oh, no.
1666, that was in operation, and this what controls the birth certificate that everybody keep talking about, the straw man that everybody keep talking about, and it's like this transmitting utility, CUSIC that they keep on trying to capture and everything, like they know the history of this man laughing at them. And then after they run through a couple of years and frustrate themselves when that one don't work, they give them another one.
Well, see, this time, see, if you take the birth certificate and you turn it on a 45-degree angle and get the apostille,
You're going to capture the hidden account of the bottomless pit of the trust and take control of it.
it'll be $5.50 every 2 minutes.
And then they start that running all over the place. And you can't say it doesn't work because they keep going for it. And like I said, I'm not knocking it because the experience and the learning curve is good and somewhat necessary. However, they're on a treadmill. The problem is that they don't know they're on a treadmill. That's where the problem is. Nothing wrong with being on a treadmill. Is when you really think you're going around the track. That's what the problem is. You understand what I'm saying to you? And when you're walking down the street and a dog using your leg as a fire hydrant, and you talk about showering, that's just wrong. And then we start talking about what their belief and how they feel. The Europeans are laughing because they know they don't have the degrees. They got a little bit of information, start running around like chickens with their head cut off like they're going to get remedy. And then after a while, sort of like what you're saying, they keep on running in circles year after year after year after year, and then start sitting down for a minute and start recognizing, damn, they ain't honored none of this stuff they set up. Not that it didn't sound good, you know, we're not talking about like that. And they start, dang, really good they didn't think it out in the first place. Because this is what they're running. They're running the secret treaty of Rome. What made you think that they want to say to you, well, see, here's the code to the bank, and this is the numbers to the safe, and then you got to go over here to Trenton, New Jersey, and get this thing with apostille so you can get the number to come back, so you can get in the back door of the side door that goes around the corner to get to the vault over here. And if you really look on the front of you, notice that these numbers are on the side of eyeglasses. It says Gucci. Don't say Gucci. That a G or that ain't no G. That's at the dollar store. Yeah, and they keep falling for it. And if you ask them the real history where the policy comes from, they have no familiarity whatsoever. You know Horace Greeley? Like you said, heard of him. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying to you? And all of these things that we're bouncing around trying to do was already set up for them. As they get little, throw them another apple. And the dog get all excited and run around, take the stick and and he called and told me, see, because look at this paper right here, see, because the paper says like here, if I get this apostille for the Secretary of State, and these suckers don't even have any offices. Them offices have been dissolved. And even if they were intact, they're still checked by treaty and constitution, which is why they dissolved it, because they didn't want to honor the constitution and the treaty. And then people keep giving them the credibility of the office, which is an assignment in trust law, but they keep interfacing with them. And so they keep playing with them. Because they don't have the patience to dedicate themselves to the divine cause of their own redemption. They're looking for a taffy on the shortcut, and he offers it to them. And that time they spend running around in circles, they should have been studying and dedicating themselves and come together and organize government and execute from their consular chambers, the lower chambers of Majlis. That's available to them, but they don't stick around long enough to learn these things. They always get distracted by the taffy, you know. And then they take off their wrapper of their taffy and go down the next block, and by the time they get to the end, they lost weight because everybody licking them. And it's true. And then they start another organization to complain about, we lost weight. Is your taffy? Yeah. You've been going down the street without a wrapper? Yeah, because
Because if we go down the street without a wrapper, see this number on the other side of the wrapper,
and this whole side you lost weight because they licked you, the son you passed the fences, the hogs and the cats, everybody licked you.
no, it was just Jenny Craig.
You got licked. And they just don't accept that. It's sort of like, you know, like when that European wrote that book about, they call it bell curve, something like that. These people just can't think. Their intelligence level is not too much above an animal, so treat them accordingly. And they keep doing it, and they keep falling for the same crap. You give them a remedy of their estate, oh, that's interesting. And you go run after posterior. And capture the books too. And you go to Trenton. And you go to Washington. Go to Maryland. About 3 or 4 years pass in between. And what they've done, spent a lot of gas, a lot of time, take off from work. Spend finance, filing papers. And the man got the signatures over and over again, going right into that 60QB trust right there. That they think they're capturing, that they're stopping. And you can't tell them anything, but I don't knock it because it's a good learning curve. Because by the time they come back, the boot's halfway up here. It ain't came out the mouth yet, but they start feeling it by now. Hopefully they'll start listening. And really settling in and putting as much honorable dedication to the restoration of their birthright, or as they are running after that empty sandwich. This is a big sub. They got the big bummer. See how big that sub is? And he opened it up. Ain't nothing there but 2 pieces of lettuce. And they keep doing it to them. That's what makes it so good. And it costs them while doing that. Anyway, it is not unlike as we talk, sis. When we talked about certain fundamental protocols of jurisdiction, or tying status and estate together, it can't be my information. It has to be yours. Until it is yours, you don't value it. Because you can't see the relationship. And so therefore, you know, you can intellectually accept it, you know, because someone may give you some balanced information that makes sense and you can accept it like that, but until you really dawns on you what this actual connection is, it won't be in your heart. And he got a pin aimed right at your heart. So you get in there with, say, I can see the soul fighting stuff. Ow, why you keep sticking me? Because you're in the ring. Ow, why you keep punching me? Because you got in the ring. See, but I look good like this. You don't want to put your hand up? No, see, because I can do it like I notice that your eyes black. Well, no, that's makeup. You know, and we keep making excuses for our arrogance and our ignorance and our pride. We keep getting beaten the hell up. When the remedy was brought to 2 years ago. But these people keep on trying to get the birthright benefit as individuals. when the sovereignty is recognized in your national capacity. Therefore, if you recognize not your own regencies, he doesn't have to, but you just let him off the hook. And this is back to what you're saying, Pew. This is back to what we're talking about. And that's what Great Seal Order is. People get enough of what you call aggregate fundamentals. And if they're prepared, then we take them to the Great Seal. They're not, they haven't marinated, you know how you marinate stuff with barbecue? They haven't marinated in the nigger juice long enough. They haven't got enough pain yet to get over their ego, to get over their beliefs, and start dealing with facts and reality. Until then, Rome got a lot of boots to replace the one that he lost of somebody's recollection of the taxes of the other dumb niggers that keep paying taxes for their own enslavement, and tithe, which means Roman tax that they keep on saying means Jesus tax. Because they don't do no research, and that's Pope Sylvester II set up that tithe tax. And they lie to their children and tell us God's paying God. These people are extreme hypocrites, but they don't see themselves that way. But the world knows that that's exactly who they are. Put them out of a job 2 months, and they'll go in some nation state somewhere around the world, murdering women and children, keep this man in power, and then come back, start another nigger organization, march and pray because they don't have their rights, type of stuff. But they go help them take it from everybody else. That's why nobody likes black people too. Because they're hypocrites to the hill and don't know their bloodline. Therefore, they can't use the common law for defense. You understand? So that's where the 14th Amendment does its service for such persons of color. See why I sent you the color? They think it means Afrocentricity. Anyway, so Greeley was also in the Congress for about 3 months. This is before he ran for president. Now, these two men, Governor William Seward, he was governor of New York at the time when the New York Tribune, and keep in mind, it was the most widely read and most widely distributed newspaper on the continent. Are we clear? Because they not only did weekly print, they also used mail. So it was the most widely distributed newspaper on the country. But I also want to show you something else. And we talked about it this morning. Another reason I wanted to go into Horace Greeley for some of you, the Whitman Party. So when you're like from a political perspective, and we're not talking speculation, we're talking fact, right? If I said to you or asked you, what do you know in a word or 3 words that relates to the Whitman Party that most people are familiar with, except that they're not familiar with it at the same time? If you ask the average person, and particularly the Asiatics in our community, about white supremacy, most of them would say they've heard that before, or they seem to have some kind of familiarity, right? But if you say Whigs, they will never associate it with it. Whigs party is the white supremacy party. See how much these people don't know about the real history? So when they're dealing with people and clerks behind desks, different private magi administrators who are faking as judges, who they keep calling judge, are cotton wigs. 2 categories of wigs. Conscience wigs, cotton wigs. And those are the ones that dominate the offices and the positions of the agencies that interface with you that are signing and stamping them up apostilles and them UCCs that these people keep on running around the circle with. And they're playing with them and taking their fiat and giving them promises. And they're really running, in other words, they're running to the fox talking about, see, what we don't want is the other foxes to eat the chickens. Oh yeah, well, sign this and stamp this over here. You can capture one stamp. And they keep going for it. Do you understand? Instead of enforcing the Constitution and the treaty to which they are bound, they keep calling these traps that he giving them superior to the Constitution. And yeah, that's cool, but we ain't got time for that. See, I'm gonna do this apostille. I'm gonna do this UCC financial statement. I'm really gonna get my hand in the pocket this time. They keep falling for it. Now, I suggest that all and any of you here, when you go home, look in on your computer and just type in wealthy white Americans. You already know that must be qualified, but we tell them how they'll put the poster. Wealthy white Americans denounce their U.S. citizenship, going to other countries and nationalize. And start doing the count. And then also put in, I put a sidebar information. How many of these white wealthy Americans that are denouncing their U.S. citizenship filed a UCC-1 financial statement to claim the birth certificate?
Yeah,
Guarantee you not one.
not one, not one.
The only ones that keep going to these age acts keep following after them because somebody told them this is how it works. Not that it doesn't sound good. I'm not saying it doesn't sound good.
It sounds great.
Wealthy white Americans denounce their U.S. citizenship and nationalize, and some naturalize in other countries. They'll try to save the little bit of wealth they got left, because this thing is fast. And these Asiatics still going for the taffy.
Yeah,
Rocking
there
it.
now.
Rocking it. And then, I say, not knowing that it's going to come to a time that it's going to come like this. And it ain't even going to be no gas coming out of the pumps.
Nope. There's gonna be some M16s at the pump.
Talk about walking. They're going to have to learn to do some exercise. Because this thing going to come to a screeching halt before it starts up again.
The prophet said we're going back to horse and buggy.
You got that right. And then we want to invest in saddles? Nah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Don't get no riding boots.
Maybe it might be a good idea. You mean a horsey? Horsey.
Or walking.
Yes. And like Brother Tawfiq was saying, about dandelion and other real food that people walk on, don't know is food. Brother Tawfiq was talking about it on the way down here. And he's intellectually up on a lot of those things. But our conversation didn't get too far past the dandelion, even though there's other issues that were other plants that we were talking about. But people don't know how bad they're going to need that information. They're going to be start looking at their hand, think they went to Subway somewhere.
Put some ketchup in
Ow!
that
You know Mark's coming to get yourself in this leaf. Man, that's deep too.
Sorry. Yeah.
But
Start looking at their woman.
yeah.
You looking good, baby.
These are the two groups, these are the two splits in the wage party. And so for those of you that may do some research on the Kansas-Nebraska Act, it will give you a little bit more history, and you'll understand what caused the split, and understand that much of that has to do with your history, including them bombing that Asiatic town, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that they called falsely Black Wall Street. All of these things that relate to you, most of our people just do not connect. And then they start running after all these methodologies, thinking they're gonna be sovereign, and they don't even know the real history. They think they do. Because they get a little bit of information and start running around, rather than actually dedicatedly studying. Then they get caught in other traps. And usually, they get so much information that they weren't familiar with that they think they've arrived. All concept. This is again why we're bringing up Great Seal. And we're bringing it with people who what? Who have shown dedication to study, because there's no need to give it to somebody that's not going to be dedicated, because they're only going to contaminate it. And it'll be a waste of energy. You know, but the time is now so much that it's not going to be so hard to teach these people, because the European is going to be putting the screws on these people so hard, so merciless, that, you know, the truth of the matter is they're going to ask anybody that even heard about Moorish science to take some time to teach them. And convenience of these venues won't be available to them.
That's right.
Every day I'm talking to somebody.
And anyone's not competent, they're going to cook them. Because they're going to cook them before they get conscious. Because the consciousness makes them dangerous, because it kills all the bonds. That they keep on trying to apostille and capture. You can't capture them, you got to kill them. That's like saying, see, because the rattlesnakes and the moccasins, see what they've been doing all the time, we just thought that they was play. But they was biting us now. And see, also the brothers and sisters, they ain't got no arms and legs and limbs. That's because they really moccasins and vipers and rattlesnakes. But if we don't have the birth certificate, you can capture them. Don't capture them. Kill them when they want. No, see, because we can sell the perfume. That's them. Duh. Is that why I got this wrong? Yeah, did you be wiping them? What was the elixir? That's the imported oil. No. And this is what they're doing with all these offers. Capture this, capture that, hostile this. And all you gotta do is count the years from, like I told you, 1773 when they were on the site graphs. Right on up to the other. This is what happened to Escar and them, you know. That was under another person that I taught for a while, another sister. That you all know, but I don't like to put people's names up there.
Right.
And I warned them, because I also gave them research papers on federal domestic grants and assistance. And man, they went crazy. They was getting Mercedes, and they was all over the place, all over the country, outside the country, and everything. And feds just let them build up. I told them it was gonna happen. And then crashed them. Most sisters out there, brothers are still in jail. They did transportation, grants, and transportation department of transportation. Because you already know the comptrollers of alien property, all that stuff. But they weren't really aligned with the divinity of the movement. They still had talking black. Got before the Magi's, who are what? 33-degree Masons. They got a Moorish Regency. And then these old nigger Moors thinking they getting over because they ain't got some little knowledge about the UCCs. They roll mercilessly. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because these people think that nobody else knows that they're Moors. They think it's just some of the noble drug they're talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And they have no dedication. They keep on trying to get the birthright without helping their brothers and sisters. This is dependent upon you aiding with your brothers and sisters. Because it's not your birthright alone. If you want it, help someone else who don't. No. Teach someone who doesn't know. You are your brother's keeper. You try to get it for yourself, you find yourself right up there in the liar's pocket. Talking about, damn, it's warm in here. He said, yeah, it is. Ain't it? No. This is what they keep on doing. Greedy, selfish, think they're going to get a couple of nickels. And then they keep calling money when they're not allowed to handle money. Which again shows that they're incompetent and they still don't get it. But they keep looking for a benefit without the honor. But they don't understand the honor. As my Horace Greeley, I don't know what you're talking about. UCCs, Golden Apple, Green Arms, keeping the leader guys on the treadmill, civil rights and stuff, keep them alive, social engineering, plot, plans laid out. You can't tell these people nothing, because they know, but they won't capture something. They don't capture nothing. And what makes it so bad is that their leader guys, 99% on 501c3 agents with central and federal, as described in the King Alpha Plan. Do you understand? And don't accept what I said, do some research. And start, this is what you gotta do. You know how they say, you know how you have a business, right? And you start measuring business by, you're doing a market research, right? And you do a market research and you see, measure how many people get involved with a cycle, then count how many people finally ended the race or finally got the golden ring. And you'll always hear about people saying that they got that far, but they never show you the golden ring or the big check that's cashed. They'll let a few people discharge according to House Joint Resolution 192, keeping people's faith. But you'll see millions around the country doing it, doing apostilles, doing UCCs, and you may have a handful that he can document even 1 or 2 discharges. And after there's 1 or second one, they don't want to get them more off. Just enough to keep the faith going. And they keep falling for it. Meanwhile, they spent more of their energy trying to get that than they ever gained.
Don't forget about the black card.
Absolutely.
Farmers on the black card.
They could get more benefit just by using their Moorish tax card and going to different places when they're buying stuff, just to remove the tax, even though they're not successful in every venue, would have saved more over the year than all their bouncing around put together. And if they did it as a unit, they would have put some of these places out of business.
Right.
So when you walk in it, they would write it off. As soon as you say Eel Bay. But they don't want to deal with the unity that they keep saying that they need. They spend more energy trying to get the benefit than they do trying to build before them.
Can you do the camera?
Not knowing that you're not going to get any more out of this than you put in it. And it owes you nothing. You owe it everything. And this is another reason why a lot of people that have the information won't get it, because the people are ungrateful. Because they keep on trying to get the package without getting truly aligned in their heart with the knowledge. And then the Europeans waiting for them, watch them have a good time around America, around there, snatch them off, put on the rotisserie. When their power is to grab their brothers and sisters' hand and help those, they say, but they don't understand. Well, if you understand it, they could understand it. I ain't got time for that. You got time to get it. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because they start seeing the system and they start looking for gates out by themselves. Yeah, I'm gonna do this escape by myself. Oh, no, you're not. Because it's predicated on the fact that you want your brother's people. Yeah, I know, but keep that butt up. That's why you're missing one side of the cheeks right now. They keep going out the gate on their own. And just like people were saying, it comes from a principle. It's universal, isn't it? Then we go to Article 3, Article 6, Sister Care. Then we go to Article 3, Article 6, Constitution, discussing a lot of things that you know we discussed. Didn't it absolutely become obvious to you? After absorbing it, do you need any convincing? No. But also, it lets you recognize this stuff ain't complicated. Why do people keep making it complex? So they can play leader God and build thrones for themselves. You understand what I'm saying to you? And they actually leave the forum that's actually their remedy. As an interim. And this point to be made. Wherein it says, all debts and contracts entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be binding against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. And all treaties made or which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. And they keep looking for these commercial agreements as if they're the supreme law. It only offers to do commerce with people who will to sell their birthright. Because unalienable rights are not placed on commercial venue. At what point these people ain't told on them? But they're anxious to get the taffy. So he offers it to them. And then they cross the stream. It's really a doo-doo pool. And every time they come out, they're stinking again. And then they, you see what that man wrote that bell curve? They keep doing the same thing to him over and over again. Ruthlessly. Anyway, this is the shield of George Washington heraldry. And you'll see also above, it's the Vatican, and there's also the shield for Washington, D.C. And the 3 stars, first star is the Vatican. Second star is London, England. Third star is Washington, D.C. The Trinity sovereign states self-proclaimed for the enforcement of the Spanish Inquisition upon the Maghreb, which is the Western Hemisphere, Morocco, and the world, launched from Morocco, North America. Go ahead, good brother.
In my studies, the interjection on everything that you're talking about, when I studied about the secret treaty of Verona, it took me back to 1213
Yes.
with Pope Innocent III.
And Innocent and what? The Spanish Inquisition,
Right.
1213, Secret Treaty of Verona, 1213 is the agreement of the Constantinian nations
Right.
to carry out the Inquisition operations. This is why Article 1 of the Secret Treaty of Verona is the commitment to overthrow all Republican forms of government. Is it not true?
Yeah, because there's actual commitment here. It states where he contracted so that he declared the Magna Charta to be unlawful and unjust, and his basis is based and shameful. So what he did was use Jesus to his own advantage, and he verified it, and it's verified in Levy, Mark 2, verse 14, Luke chapter 5, verse 27, Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 and 36, and Luke chapter 12, 49, 51, and it reveals how the government and the religion are operating together.
Yes. And so it does also in the Christian Black Codes of 1724, adopted in all the corporate states after they closed the Freedmen's Bureau. And with the Freedmen's Bureau, right? That's the Naturalization Act. That's what Ulysses Grant signed. This is the original. That's the modification. And you'll see that 1870 in the law books when you look at three white persons that make that relationship to the Whigs Party. And yet people know about these legal terms and don't know the shenanigans that went by or took place in the background. Now, I want you all to look at this. This is citizenship and expatriation from the American legation. Now, notice that citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc., pages 459 and 460, right? Now, what country do you see there? Say it again? Oh, the United States is a corporation that's occupying Morocco. Do you see? Do you think scholars don't know that? They do. That's what that French Muslim was schooling Malcolm. When Malcolm was made the Hajj, like many of the brothers and sisters do, think when they made the Hajj, now they become Muslim, and now they're attached to their real culture, and then they're making salat and everything, and they think they're out of the jurisdiction. And that French Muslim say, just because you made the Hajj, you're not visiting home, you left home. That's the Maghrib. Now go look at the Quality Dictionary, because they think Maghrib is just one of the prayers. Maghrib is Morocco, the most extreme west. It's geography.
Could you clarify Morocco for the people? Could you clarify Morocco, because you know it's too existing right now, as far as the kingdom and the empire.
No, but it's not too existing.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Now, so see, what we got to do is understand what empire is. And this is why when we went over the diplomatic codes, we say 1884 Berlin Conference. They're splitting up the empire amongst the Constantinian nations, hiding behind the name Christianity and hiding behind the name Jesus that they made up during the Nicene Council, 325, to cover the history of Yeshua, who is the name of the one who they called Jesus. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, Morocco, the kingdom, it says the kingdom of Morocco. That's just like if someone said the city of Wilmington, and then people can't comprehend Delaware and knowing the distinction, or even equating them as the same as opposed to one being subordinate to the other. So when they say kingdom of Morocco, the fact that they say kingdom indicates that's a section of an empire, which means they don't even know basic geography. This is the point that I'm making to you. So there is not two. The very title tells you it's a piece of an empire. You should be looking for the missing half. That's bigger than that. And of course, this is where why it's necessary to show people George Washington's letter, correspondence to the emperor. You see the point? And so this is back to us saying again, their confidence in knowing that our people can't read, even though the stuff is in their face. That's like saying the city of Wilmington Empire. Well, you know the two? As soon as it says the kingdom of, that lets you know that's a subordinate province. But if they know that people have to learn geography, they know that they can't recognize subordinate geographical political structures. You know, it's like a little child don't know a city from the county, and don't know the county from the state, and don't know the state from the country, and look at them as either equals or different political jurisdictions when you have a chain of subordination of franchise. That's why I said what I said. And then being the degrees that you have, you want to be cognizant not to make that mistake, although I knew exactly what you were talking about. You see what I'm saying? Because if we're in a chess game of jurisdiction, I would take that opportunity to crush your argument. And this is what we have to recognize. We are preparing each other for the real world because they won't allow you to get away with it in the real world. They'll take advantage. As soon as you make that mistake, your argument's over. You're already declared incompetent. They get a deputy knight from the barristers of England and put them on you because you can no longer present yourself. And they will, at that point, represent you. And our people don't know that they're deputy knights for the popes of Rome under the secretary of Rome. And for those of you who do some research, look up the Communist Union and look up the House Committee investigation into the American Bar Association of 1952, and you'll find out that they front to help the people, but their mission is really to overthrow the republic. And they've been successfully doing it. Now you understand also, when you look at the Zodiac Constitution registered in the Library of Congress and say, so when you hire an attorney, you've given up your birthright. And then people say, oh, because they know law. They know color of law. Well, aren't you people of color? Yeah. They just say, ain't you fake people? These people think it means Afrocentricity. So do fake people need human rights? Does a plastic plant need water?
No.
So a plastic plant is what? A simulacrum, a semblance, distinguished from that which is real. People of color are a semblance, a simulacrum, distinguished from that which is real, to which there is no scientific, legal, technical, reality, or acknowledgement of such persons, because they don't damn exist. It's a nom de guerre social engineering term, not an identity, but they can't read. You see the problem? This is part of what we were talking about this morning too. So we had an extensive conversation last night and this morning, and then Tawfiq continued it when we had to go out. But these fundamentals, you already know and I know that conversations like this for a couple hours cannot purge what Rome has had generations to do. So it's important to give you key information. Horace Greeley is one of the keys. And the fact that most people that plain consciousness aren't aware of the important cog in the wheel that he is means they got more degrees to get. Go ahead.
You wanted us to research the House Committee. Finish that.
House Committee on the investigation of the American Bar Association, 1952. It will reveal much to you. And as people began to study, they started pulling down sites where that case or that investigation by the House Committee. As a matter of fact, they even changed it in order to hide it. Because people studied it, they wouldn't be going and hiring lawyers. This is aside from the fact that if they knew, just like if they go to law dictionary, and they'll see that as soon as they give a lawyer leave, that they can't even challenge the jurisdiction of the court. Court has jurisdiction, there is no challenge. And then somebody come to help them, the barrister's got the power of attorney. You can't even talk to them, you can't even get to them. And this happens with a lot of people that don't study or have faith in them and keep thinking they're going to be representing their rights. Then they drain all of their estate and drop them just like you go in the corner in the basement, you start seeing all these bugs on the floor, but they ain't moving, they're dead. You should look up and find the spider web. Just rub it, find all the bugs there. That's the same in law when you give a lawyer leave. That's what leave means. They bring you to a point like a bounty hunter. They have no more obligation except to leave you in the condition of yourself. And then you pay them. And all you did was pay a bounty hunter dressed in a suit that you ain't figured out as a bounty hunter. It's true. And if you try to educate these people, they're going to start telling you about what their beliefs are. Anyway, so this is citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc. Now pay attention to this. Morocco charged the affairs Mr. Root, Secretary of State, August the 3rd, 1906. Notice that this is what, approximately 4 years before they started meeting off of Jekyll Island, 1910, and then solidified their meeting from 13 to 16 and set up the barristers, or set up the Inquisition operations under Woodrow Wilson. There are, strictly speaking, no Moroccan laws relating to citizenship of Moorish subjects in Morocco. The fundamental laws of this non-Christian country are based entirely upon the Islamic code, no part of which treats of the subject of citizenship. There are, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moroccan Empire. You see that? By means of which citizenship in this country is defined. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report upon such lines. I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. Number 1. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moorish subjects. That means under United States citizenship, you gotta prove that you're not Moorish. Nationality card or not. See the kind of information that's been held back from you from your leader guys? See what Malcolm found out? That all of them ministers around him all knew all the time, and why they don't like to talk about neutrality, because it would expose them for who they really are, Judases. And that's why they murdered him, because they knew he was going to tell. But he had to relearn himself. He was put back, he was humbled back into grade school because he thought he knew that human beings were crayons. Deeply. Found out different. And a French Muslim, European schooling. Look at all the minister brothers around him that know Allah. Yeah, right. They the ones that shot him, they say, what? Keep your hands out of pockets. Yeah, right. It's a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. And people still believe these phonies. 2 and 3, more subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized. See Horace Greeley, see Ulysses Grant, see the Naturalization Act, 1790, and this is where the Europeans take on the title of white people. That's why you see that first paragraph in the revamping. As we read Free White Persons, which we'll do before we close out. Horace Greeley, y'all. So these people think they're going to capture this and capture that, and they got them running around in circles. To keep their mind off of what's really happening. This is the real politics. The real politics. And most of them they don't stick around long enough to learn the real politics. So they take them for a ride. Roller coaster ride. While draining their pockets. Promises, 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 promises. Now, so more subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized and or protected by another country having treaty relations with you, with the Moroccan Empire. Now you see how the 14th Amendment works. It's a naturalization act. Ulysses Grant, 1790, and the Europeans took on the phrase free white person that don't belong to them. And that's when the Europeans started calling themselves white men. And who calls them white men now? The heirs of the estate gave up their birthright and keep calling them white men, and every time they whispered out their mouth, they just gave up their birthright and called him the sovereign of the land. Because they can't read and don't know what the swell they're talking about, and don't know that you're talking estate law. They think it means complexion. And you can't tell them no different, because their leader guys said it means atlas and trestatic. And they work for the feds. That's the truth. Now, so I'm going to take you up a little bit, and then we'll go over free white persons. And then look at the Naturalization Act. Consider that, so you're going to do that in your research, right? See that Naturalization Act, 1870, with Ulysses Grant. Now watch when we go into free white persons. George Washington shield of the Vatican, Washington, D.C., and you'll find that shield at 18th and what? In Philadelphia, where the birth canal is. 18th Street. How much is 3 6s? 18. Sister QB Act, 1666, 1666. And that's where the straw man has its origin that everybody keeps trying to capture. And most of them don't know about this, but they know about the Sister Q Trust, Cusick number, and don't even have the background. And they got them bouncing around trying to capture this and capture that, and they don't know the real politics because they ain't studied it long enough. But they're looking for the benefit. And this man playing them like a violin with no strings. But they're so busy trying to get a benefit, they can't even recognize that they're being played. And it buys him time, because the energy that they spend running around trying to get a benefit, they should be spending studying, united, just like Q was saying, and carrying out consular relations under Article 3 of the American Constitution and Article 6, the Supremacy Clause. Anyway, so let's look at this. So, the following excerpt from Henry Campbell Black's M.A., Master Astrologer, Law Dictionary on Definitions and Terms and Phrases of American and English Jurisprudence, Ancient and Modern. Subject, definition, free white persons. For purpose of context clarity and for easier reading, the writer has taken the liberty to address the grammatical and sentence structures as presented by the dictionary definition attributed to free white persons. The writer added "the" before some sentences and replaced the word "it" with the legal phrase free white person, which it represents. Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, free white persons. Free white persons as referred to in the Naturalization Act, in the Naturalization Act of 1870. See Ulysses Grant, see where it comes in? See the Regency Party where it comes in? And people who don't know history can't correlate the dates, they don't recognize, they read right past it. So, 1870 has meaning naturally given to it when it was first used in one statute 103C3, meaning all persons belonging to the European races, then commonly is counted as white. What? Then since what? 1854. Solidified with Ulysses Grant in 1870 when they amended the Naturalization Act. And that's when they started calling themselves free white people. Because prior to that, they were called red people. That's what Rothschild means red shield. That's what in the Genesis, in the genetics of the experiments, we talk about the ruddy hairy one that was born of Rebecca. This is why they called, that's why they called Empress Mataoka Pocahontas and renamed her Rebecca. And this is also when they have Asiatic women who are considered compromised, they'll call them Rebecca. Do you understand? And if you knew history, you would recognize every time it takes place. But if you don't know history, you wouldn't even put it together. Do you understand? And then people be sitting around talking about their beliefs and their prayers. Of course, with no successes. Thank you. Anyway, so then come Canada's white and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. Free white persons includes all European Jews more or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. Free white persons includes Magyars, Slavs, Finns, and Basques, and Albanians. Free white persons include the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Can you read it again? Free white persons does not mean Caucasian race. Now, do you see Horace Greeley there again? See what people don't know about law and history? Or the difference between naturalization and nationalization? Sounds similar. It ain't the same horsey. Don't go riding in the sunset with it. Might not come back. So I want you to see something to let you understand that what you think you know is not what's going on in the real world of politics. But without this knowledge, you can have other things thinking that you're bringing remedy, and you will only frustrate yourself. Because until you know the truth about the history, you will be handicapped socially, economically, and politically. Forever, until you wake up. Until you claim the lost estate, but you can't claim an estate that you don't know you have.
That's right.
Therefore, you must be brought 360-degree masonry, which is the study of mother and son. That's what Ma, Son, Read is. Mother and son and the study. And you see that as a symbol of Osset, sometimes called Isis, and Horus sitting on her knee, her son, symbolizing life on the planet Earth. And then the Constantinians imitated it with the image they call Mary and Jesus. That's mother and son, and the study of it on the planet Earth, that's called Masonry. Does that sound spooky to you? Is that Illuminati-ness of the devil of the tax around your head stuff in Bohemian Grove? People have been played. So I wanted to bring that to the attention, so do a little bit more research on Horace Greeley, on the Naturalization Act, etc. And there's other points of interest that we could give you, but this should be enough to keep you busy for quite some time. You're going to need it, and I'm getting ready to publish the superliminal. That's lesson book 12. And I'm going to publish lesson book 14A1. 14 has been out for years. But I split it in half because I knew of the opposition that would come from both government operatives, COINTELPRO operatives, traders, and other persons who would misuse this information. But you have to kind of outthink them because it's a chess thing. You understand? And it'll wake you up on another degree and make you more competent to counter the dark priesthood who's really working against you. And then many of the cotton wigs that are clerks behind these desks that are sealing these people's papers who keep thinking they're going to capture the birth certificate stuff. And they don't even know about the Whigs party. They look at a wig right in the face and don't even know the wig look in the face, know exactly what they're doing and going to undermine them. But if you do it like this, you really capture this. All right. Just don't hold your breath while you're doing it. Go ahead and have fun because you need the exercise. It's better to be active than not. But they ain't going nowhere with it until they rescue their families. They're going to have to convince those who are not convinced. And in the process, as soon as these people's energy in their mind changes, then bonds start curling up just like in the Wizard of Oz. When that house falls down on the Wicked Witch and her socks curl up. Socks. Same way the stocks must curl up. That's based on them bonds. You ain't capturing crap But they keep running trying to capture them. If they handed them all in their hands, they could not transfer them. You go out there with them bombs, you know what they do? Take them in the back room and they disappear. That person and the bombs. That's policy. People ain't gonna capture crap. They do it to heads of nations. What makes you think that you're gonna do because they offer you some capture principle? That Japanese man that they took all them bonds, there's a couple billion bonds from, what was last year, they were genuine bonds. They robbed them. You're not at the airport talking about their counterfeit. No, that's cabal. They robbed them. That and a lot of other crap that's been going on is why Brazil, Russia, India, China, Korea, etc., and the Mint nations, which includes Mexico, and a lot of the South American Organization of American States. We're talking about countries, not some state of Pennsylvania, New Jersey. OAS is Organization of Real Americans. States have gotten together to enforce the American Constitution as a countermeasure to the coup of 1861 and 1871, and the action is called the enforcement counter-move to the abrogation of Article 1, Section 10 of the American Constitution as derived from martial law stated by President Obama when he went before the conventions. And instead of calling it the enforcement of the American Constitution, they call it a reset. The reset is the enforcement of the Constitution. Were you going to say something?
No.
Huh?
Forum.
I still like what you said.
You go over there.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I was in this, I've been doing this long. Listen, go ahead. So, understand when you look at that first section of the free white persons, if you don't know the history of the Whig parties, it will confuse people when you deal with the annotation, etc., in that expression. But then, all sociologists know that. That's why they know when these people keep on running around in circles every time they offer them a new program for capturing the bottomry instruments, and they fall for it, that buys them another year or two. And they've been getting away with it. And since these people are so insincere with their own birthright, the rest of the nations of the earth are stepping up to the table. Because these people don't know they're getting ready to get killed off. Let's keep messing around with man, and it's destroying other economies. And these people are so slow, they won't do what Raleigh say, so now the nations are going to carry out the enforcement of the Constitution since they won't do it. While they're running around, keep on trying to capture these, making them some bottomless pit account. That ain't going to damn happen. Causing the lives of other nations and other people and their own damn children that get ready to get exterminated while they're playing around with these people. Regency party. And they claim to be conscious. See the problem? Yes.
That's ascertaining to the fraud anyway.
Of course it is, because they're trying to sanction it to get a benefit.
Yeah. Give it
And so the effort to get the benefit is sanctioning it. Because in law, crime is based on will and intent, whether it was carried out or not. That's why they keep them stringing along. To demonstrate will and intent, which means in the future they have no suit for reparation. Dummies.
2012, they started turning all that information over to Homeland Security.
Yes, exactly correct.
As a terrorist threat.
And this is why China disallowed any loans to them to any longer support Homeland Security. There's going to be one in the recess, one of the institutions dissolved.
All right.
Since these people have had this information for 102 years, and they appear that they don't want the birthright. Meanwhile, other people and countries are being bombed and undermined while we keep on playing these nigger games looking for some birth certificate benefit and QSIC number benefit that they ain't gonna damn get. So the rest of the nations are enforcing the Constitution since day one. That's why China shut down the West Coast. That's why that ship with the oil set in the port here at Philadelphia since November. We just left a month and a half ago. Drip, drip, drip offloading it. And then Saudi Arabia and other countries pumping oil night and day. That's why the gas is cheap now. You just wait till after crashes, the fracking and stuff like that. And then the riblings all gonna bust. Then it's gonna, a lot of people are gonna park cars. It's gonna cost them more for gas than do for insurance. And the little JOBs won't even count because they won't be able to cover gas. That's more tolls. Since they don't want to act right, and they seem like they don't want the birthright, everything else is going to be taken from them.
401s and everything.
Yes, and they keep running after this Ponzi scheme. European just thinks of a new Ponzi scheme from the site grabs to the HMO, then the UCCs, then the apostille. Oh man, this is laughing. Then the birth certificate. All of them sound good, and all of them have the same story behind them. Every last one have the same story behind them. Now, are there any questions? Go ahead.
I'm getting ready to sound something.
I'm getting ready this time. Brother Mr. Greeley for this. You saying UCC.
Now, listen to yourself. Listen to him. Listen to yourself, right? And then think. Just think. All right.
What is the remedy for this?
All right.
You can't use your UCC. You can't capture your birth certificate. It's like basically we at war.
You're not at war with you. They never stop.
Yeah, it never stopped being at war.
So what happens when you keep going to them, taking them all the information, thinking that you won't get a benefit from them? You're building the dossier that they don't have to build. Why do you think the CIA and the FBI gave Facebook, actually gave them an award? Because the dummies keep giving them all the information, and it has saved them billions of notes of investigations. And these people build a dossier on themselves. They know their friends, they know their contacts, they know what they buy, what they don't buy. They know when they're home, when they're not home. They know their personal business, and they tell on their friends, and then they fight each other. They know all about what they're about to do, no investigation. Then they put it in that master computer in Idaho, etc., and other one in Virginia. They don't even have to send men out to investigate no more. That's why they gave them awards. Exactly. And they can read in between the lines and tell their lifestyles. Dummies keep coming on Facebook. Now get the mic.
So you saying we shouldn't?
I'm not saying that you shouldn't do anything.
Trust and stuff like
No, no.
that.
Oh,
How
do
to
trust.
protect yourself in the kind
Do trust, because if you know everything is not complicated, logically you should. But the people don't know that that's not enough. If you're not in your proper person, it's a bridge. It doesn't even matter. Proper person is everything. And what does it boil back down to? Nationalization. Let me ask you something. There are some people that were squandering the economy after the World War I and the Treaty of Versailles. You ever heard of the Treaty of Versailles?
Yes.
Treaty of Versailles, where Germany could not have a standing army, and they were being drained by dishonorable people that was in it, many of them Germans, but they was claiming a religion as an identification, lying and stealing and undermining Germany. Hitler nationalized Germany. Did you see him go file some UCC one claim? He nationalized Germany. Said Germany for Germans. Everybody else go home. Party's over. And you don't have to go home, but you're leaving here. And those who hide, you're going to a barbecue party. You got a chance. He even supplied ships.
Yes, he did.
And after enough of them went to barbecue parties, nobody was coming out, they heard him got a nationality, didn't they? Were they trying to find a UCC, or they heard him got a nationality, even though they made it up? Batista was a CIA man who was protecting the cabal of the Union State Society of White Supremacy with their little 12-year-old girl whorehouses that they've been maintaining in Isabella for over 90 years. Isabella is called Cuba. And they used to ritually rape the little girls, and some of them they would kill them as ritual and steal their organs. They've been doing it for over 90 years. It got so bad that women came out fighting the U.S. corporation, not country, army with broomsticks to try to save their little babies. It got so ugly they didn't want this information with the rest of the world, so they trained a double agent in Texas to take Batista's place, and Batista was to step down, and the double agent was to take his place to calm things down, because they didn't want the world to know that they was killing mothers in the street who was trying to protect their babies from Christian ministers and congressmen and politicians who've been raping their little girls for 90 years, killing a lot of disappearing children. Anyway, so they took the double agent, stepped Batista down, and they put the double agent in Batista's place to calm down everything and to kind of squash this information about all the women and children they've been killing. And the double agent double-crossed them, and he nationalized Cuba. That double agent is named Fidel Castro. Now you know why they don't like him. But most of these people here don't even know that history. Now you ask me again, what do we do for the remedy? Well, I believe what the remedy 2 years ago, nationalize you. And everybody keep on looking for everything else. They keep on trying to get this benefit, trying to get that benefit, trying to shortcut, trying to apostille, trying to do this, trying to capture that, trying to get this, trying to fart over here. And keep giving him mandate. That's what's wrong. But he tells the stories so good, they keep falling for it.
See, if you capture the hat and you just turn it like it, but it's got to be on a 15-degree angle like this. And then what you do, you get Secretary of State and get them to stamp it. Not on this side of it, but it's on this side where the red numbers are. And then you get your hands on the bottomless pit account. And watch how many millions run all over these places trying to get it. It never works. And they let a few through just to build faith in other dummies. Then they start selling packages. And they keep falling for it. And you tell them, nationalize, study, teach your family. Yeah, but you don't need to do this, what you need to do is capture. And they all become racist. And then they keep going on. But don't argue. They need that pain. For the few who will listen, try to save some of the babies. Because know for sure, most of them will be sacrificed by their own selfish greed, blind faith, and think they're going to get taffy. Don't keep trying to convince them. Save the next generation if you can. And even then, you're not going to save all of them. Because they do intend to reduce the population. Now, it's better that you have a chance, knowing what's really up. And don't even get the idea, that save the world idea. Don't even get that in your mind, because it's not going to happen. Do you understand? Say who you can, do your best, and leave the rest. Now, you ask me, well, what do we do to bring remedy to this? I've been telling you over and over again what the remedy is. You understand? But don't think any promises they make to you are valid, because they're not.
What you do, brother, is look at Article 6 in the Constitution.
Read it out, your brother.
And Article 6 states, this is not the beginning part, but it's right in the middle. It gives you a solution. It says, this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or will shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding.
And what do they tell you? The UCCs are withstanding. The apostille is withstanding. Capture the birth certificate is withstanding. None of it binds them. That's what binds them. But the people don't believe in that. Because the Europeans said, don't see what you gotta do. Because we brought the admiralty jurisdiction on the land, see? And so since birth, because the vowels are interchangeable. See, so what we did, we just took the I out of birth and put it B-E-R, so it makes it shipping, on the bottom of the instruments. So if you go capture this, then we just gonna have to turn it all over to you. Sister QB, trust me. But what you gotta do, you gotta go to Trenton, New Jersey, to the Capitol and everything, and then you give them a stamp, you get the apostille, you do like this, like that and everything, but you come on Tuesdays and stuff, and then you get a seal, and then you take it from there, you go to Washington, D.C., to 10 square miles, that's the real United States and stuff, and like that. And then you come back over here, and you file it over here, and then you go over there, and file in this office, and then we'll send you a voucher, and you go over here, and you get this one. And then when they run out of that, after a year and a half, after 1 million people done it for, then transfer a lot of fiat, then they come up with another angle of the same thing. Because some people start figuring, damn, we worked all over the place, and still ain't worked from the last time. Not that it didn't sound good, but they recognize all these people in the race, and ain't nobody won. Because it's like this, if you're going next door for a bag of chips and a soda, and everybody going there, and only one person come back with a bag of chips and soda, and that's half empty, that's not a success rate, is it? How many people, and I'm included because I already know the systems, it's not that I don't, but I just don't promote them because I already know it's a mandate game. But most people don't have the capacity to recognize mandate games, because they don't understand the mandate. They don't know it exists. They don't know about Horace Greeley. They don't know about the Whigs Party. They don't know about the real politics. They don't know these are cotton wigs behind these clerks' desks who are assigned to get these people that keep thinking they're going to capture every damn thing, and their job is to keep them on the treadmill. I own the racetrack. But if you're a apostille this, you go to my boy, you just stand, you're going to win the horses.
The thing we have to do also is we have to change our paradigm of our understanding of what wealth is. Tyson will talk about the treadmill. That's what we put ourselves when we start chasing the imagery they put in front of us.
That's the problem.
We have to change this paradigm so we understand that health is wealth.
Not just that.
Health.
Yeah, but look what you're saying. Look what you're saying. And you're not incorrect. You're not incorrect. But let's qualify this. Not incorrect. If I went down the pews, I could eat the best of food. Not because he's a great cook, golden cook. It's because he got multiple level gardens that he's been cultivating for years. He got land around him where he has access to
even wild food that he don't bother going picking because he got it his own that he crops. And both box gardens that he built by hand, he's got goats, he's got chickens, he got feral cats around there to keep the rodents down. You can't touch them, but they're cool, they'll come around, just don't be petting on them. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying to you? And so, that's cool. The masses are under the control of Monsanto, no matter how much they think they're getting organic. And they don't have access, not only that, because most of them don't have access to the land, and he's not going to allow them to have access to the land. Even if they had access to the land, he's going to be trying to take it under the secretary of Rome. So in the numerical reality, in principle is cool, in reality it's not going to happen. And what you're really saying, it really boils down to this. And it's said over and over and over again, and the people still don't get it. And it is this, and we'll close out. And then we'll answer any final questions. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all those other things that you've been running around for will fall in your damn lap. But they keep looking for the trinkets. This is why the Romans said, these dumbasses, they sold us Manhattan for a string of beads. What made you think they ain't gonna sell their babies? And this is what's been going on. And they think it's different. Rick's party. Do you understand what I'm saying? And all of these plots with the UCCs and the birth certificates and the apostille come from the Whigs party. Their job is to keep these dumbasses on the treadmill, social treadmill that buys them time. What is the remedy? Nationalization. What is their job? To keep you diverted from it. Because that's the cure and the only cure. It's not complex. It's that there's so damn greedy they keep falling for the marked deck. And even though they've been delivered the information to their remedy, they keep getting attracted by the big bad book. And Little Red Riding Hood goes skipping in her little red hoodie and stuff. Biscuits and stuff, right? And goes in and out. Hey, Granny, what's happening? Granny goes, nice bones you have. Don't do that, Granny. Biscuits. Some sharp nails you got. I just had them done in power. Hey, long teeth, there's extensions. You're kind of hairy there, girl. Right on that Chinese store. Dead weed. Oh, why didn't you tell me? Yeah, red body, go home, basket all empty, pregnant and stuff. Hoodie all on the side and everything. It's naive. And we're naive. It's really us. They're telling you the same thing. We're naive as hell. We won't accept reality that's right in your face. Why do you think they did the Wizard of Oz? Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, right? The Negro Yavera Arego, which is the monkeys, right? Straw Man, 14th Amendment. 10-Man Rusty, they cribbed the industry. Yellow Brick Road, Zodiac Constitution. Emerald City, green star in your flag. Dorothy, you just bumped your head. You're always home. And they still don't get it. Ruby red slippers. In the original text, it was silver slippers with the moon, alchemical energy. These people still don't get it. They is like, it's Matrix. Tell them the same thing again. Green numbers come down, Venus, mathematics. Who got the red pill and the blue pill? More copy us. They play with these people. And you ask again, what do we do to bring remedy? It was brought to you 102 years ago. Keep getting diverted. You understand? Anyway, questions we're going. Oh, thank you all for coming out. Here too. Rand, go ahead. House of Rand, go ahead.
How do you start the process? And then the second.
Next time you come, bring a flash drive. Do you have one on you now?
No, my son, I bring it.
Yeah.
And then I have 4 children. Should I wait until 18 to do that or start?
You wait till they're 18, they may not be here.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I know what I'm saying. Now, this is what I'm saying. We're giving you some base information to give you some insight into the real politics, because there's a lot of other games that will be out there to divert you, to keep your mind off of some of these things that I've shown you, which is the real politics. Even when many of you come on a regular basis, there's a level of consciousness with you. And many people, once they become conscious of the bloodline and history, are assumed to be conscious and are called conscious. Upon test, half of what you ask them, they will fail with, which means that's relative. You understand? When you come here, bring a notepad, bring a flash drive that got space on it. I'll give you enough stuff to keep you busy for 10 years on the low end. In one folder, less more other stuff that I can give you. Start studying it. You will need to ask me nothing else, because if you study it, you will be self-motivated and you will know what is necessary. Only caveat I say, and being honest with you may not find that you got enough time to get it in. They're going to try to eliminate you before you get there. Especially your boys. And if you think they ain't targets, please don't hold your breath. You understand what I'm saying? And you think these people ain't ruthless, again, please don't hold your breath. You understand? And if you think these marching, praying leader guys around you and reverends don't know this, please don't hold your breath. Meaning that I will give you information, study sincerely. You will not have to ask questions if you study. If you don't study, you'll be asking questions. Because most of the questions that you will ask really will be answered. And it will be handed to you. Without a hook, without sign or symbol necessarily, without allegorical story. Straightforward. Handle it. Grow up. And prepare to try to save yourself and your family. As they recognize people are waking up, they're doing what is called false flags. It's like that bomb they did in China recently. That was a nuclear, what we call a degraded nuclear bomb that was set out from the stratosphere.
I have one more question.
You're great.
Please. I want to homeschool my children. Is that important?
It is wise to do. Now, but you have to correct your status because they belong to the state. The birth certificate, I said, I'm going to give you information. Don't be frustrated. This is why you see them act arrogant when people start trying to free themselves. Because parents think they own their babies. They don't. The birth certificate is a bond. If you got a marriage certificate, that's a bond too, and it's on the stock market. And as soon as you start exercising rights, they will attack you because it means Susie ain't going to college at your expense under the Sister QV Act of 1666 that you may not know is at the back of politics. And these clerks and all these offices and agencies are cotton wigs. And you not understanding, saying, well, I talked to this guy, the clerk down at the city hall, and she said, she don't know what you're talking about. They know every damn thing. Well, I saw the police officers, they're not officers. They're from the gangs of New York that have private contracts to enforce the corporations' forced contracts on the people. with the threat of murder under the secret Treaty of Verona. Cotton wigs. And they're dangerous. And they seek any excuse to kill particularly young Asiatic males, to steal their organs. And the so-called judges are not judges, they're magi. Deputy Knight Magi's, Knights of Columbus. And whenever one of their contractors go out there and kill a young Asiatic male, they play on the people, but they're already in agreement and they split the finance. And these people keep marching around thinking these people are government. The United States Corporation Company was dissolved in 1861. And then affirmatively again in 1933 with the House Joint Resolution 192. And people keep looking at that with the so-called bank holiday. It was already done with the Sister QB Act. With the Act of 1871, which was actually completed 10 years before. United States Corporation Company don't damn exist. Do you understand? And it's a company. It's not a country. And you can't tell these people anything. The country is Morocco. That's why I showed you that letter from the Charge d'Affaires. And how did the Moors lose their nationality? 14th Amendment. It's called the Naturalization Act. Horace Greeley, Ulysses Grant, 1870. And then they, out of ignorance, called the European sons who steal their birthright white people and just gave up their birthright again and called themselves conscious. And they're under genocide attack. Then they run around trying to get the birth certificate. Giving him mandate. Not that it doesn't sound good. Do you understand what I'm saying? I understand because the process is so beautifully laid out. See this deck? We're going to go to Atlantic City and you're coming back with that Corvette. And everybody in line, all y'all coming back with the Corvette. You do the Pastille, they run out of ink. Give me another thing. We just come from Washington. If they so broke, why don't they file UCC loans financial statements? These people are so naive. But I understand your concerns. Point is that you're here. First point. So there has to be enough spiritual consciousness with you that you're even here at all. You'll be given what you ask for. Be prepared to study. Give you what you need. And if you got any questions, write them down so you don't forget them. The best thing to do next time you come, bring somebody with you so you can sharpen swords together, so you can critique. You understand? Yes. Tom.
You got a phone? You got a notepad on? There's 3 words that a person should keep in mind, and status being one of them. Status.
Of course, that's a state.
Yes.
Status in a state.
Because status is the standing, the state or condition of the person. It relates to the legal relation of the individual to the rest of the community. Status relates to the rights, the duties, the capacities, and the incapacities which determine a person to a given class. It is a legal personal relationship, not temporary in its nature, nor terminable at the mere will of the parties, with which third parties in the state are concerned. While the term status implies relation is not a mere relation. Status also means your estate, because status signifies the condition or the circumstances which one stands with regard to his property. Property being, you, your children, all of that, So you're not in proper status when you see yourself as being a crayon. Black, because we don't call ourselves colored no more. Now not me generally, but we've been adopted ourselves,
It's
so-called
a gift from the
graduated to African American. You know, but all of these are labels. All of these are not statuses. They are, but they're low class status. You know, they're misnomer. So when you study nationalized, you know, you want to study nationalized and naturalized. But you don't want to naturalize, but you want to study, you know, because you are in war, just like the brother asked. So it appears that we in war. Yes, we are in war. Because the War Powers Act is still operable right now. It was enacted by Lincoln and it never was shut down. So you're still in war. Just look at your police. Look how militarily set up they are.
They're belligerent.
You don't have to
murder people on the street.
You don't have to figure
with
it out.
no recompense.
And they call it a non-human casualty. When they kill one of our Asiatic brothers and sisters, it's called a non-human casualty. I was just studying that. So in other words, they don't look at you as a human because you refuse to look at yourself as one. You know, because you still consider yourself like property. Your status is being property.
As soon as they say Negro, Black, and Colored, you're outside the human family.
Well, you really want to study nationality, and they gave you some work right there, you know, because it all sounds juicy, but, you know, if you eat steak too fast, you'll choke.
Right, and I'll be honest and say that.
You know, you want to take little bites.
I have 4 children at home, so I can't speak nationally at one time.
How many nationals? You may have many. You have Russian nationals, you have Chinese nationals. Probably about
Yeah, because that's how you have to adjudicate any situation. No, well, I'm saying that's how you have to adjudicate because you establish court.
What you have, they're disorganized. You become co-intellectual operations. You got to remember, this is why you got to know the history. You've got to know the activities of Calvin Coolidge and
Warhol's caught wherever you stand.
with the COINTELPRO operations to infiltrate Marcus Garvey, who was teaching nationality and government, Noble Ali was teaching nationality and the estate, and they were working together. That's why they took Garvey and exported him, and then killed him. No, he's talking trade with Africa. See, much of what he did is misrepresented. He was dealing with pan-African trade. Pan means international. And they keep telling our people he meant go back to Africa. They were standing on Africa. Yeah, but this would COINTELPRO misinformation. See, but if you don't have the background, you keep buying into the so-called black leaders' descriptions of this stuff. They COINTELPRO operatives. His right-hand man was a CIA man. So was King's photographer. But they set him up. You know, it's sort of like continuous. They run the same operation, and we keep falling for it because we keep believing in them.
Can I ask you one thing, brother? On and off the subject, I have some court battles going on in the science, and we've been watching a lot of your lectures, and also Dr. Ross said, I'm chilling with my sons. You know, I can't do everything for you. This takes all my energy. You have 14 very smart players. You gotta learn this with me. So I'll explain to them when you go in court. We learned about, you know, making a special appearance, and you're not using certain words that's chopped up. But I'm gonna ask you this. We can't do those things until we do
No, you still can do that thing because this is what happens. This is what happens. See, the law is always supreme, Constitution and treaty. What has happened and what people need to understand is that it is never a time that you don't enforce the law. But the problem is, like Brother Tawfiq is saying, they don't know status. It is not unlike, like tell the boys to look up the Dred Scott case, which is the most
Yeah.
important slave case ever come before the Supreme Court of the United States. Are we clear? It is used around the world, even by other nation states, to determine the capacities and the incapacities in relationship of the individual person in relationship to citizenship.
Okay.
And peoples of African descent can never be U.S. citizens. But they're tricked into thinking they can, as soon as they agree, their 14th Amendment corpse.
Right.
That's where you get the straw from.
Hey.
And then they buy and sell with the mark or the number of the name of the European slaveholders, and immediately are state property. Anything they buy or sell with the mark or the number of that name is dead. Now, this is why status must be corrected. That's what see, this is the whole point. People keep looking on trying to cure stuff when the rule all over the world is this: honor your mothers and your fathers. What is that called in the political realm? Nationalization. What is nationalization? Recognizing your nativity. What is your nativity? Your belly button. What is native? One, native, land and mother, motherland, mother nature. Deny your mother, you have no inheritance. That's why they put their names on our people. And as soon as they bought into that and then start claiming to be Christians, which they could never be because it's a political system, ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. The one they called Jesus was Yahshua. He was Yahudi, or what you call Jew. And they lie and lie and lie. These people, these phony people, keep calling people crayons. Oh, we love Jesusness. No. Ruth, the Moabites, the 39th book in the Bible, is his grandmother, great-great-grandmother. Moabites, the ancient name for Moor. They had hair like lamb's wool, skin like burnished brass. They worshiping Romans, talking about, I love me some Jesusness. I got personal relationship and all that stuff. I got his phone number, I got his cell phone number. And they start speaking in tongues and stuff like that. And the rest of the civilized world looking at them like the hypocrites that they really are. That's why people don't like black people. But they don't know that's how the world looks at them. They think they're spiritual and salvation and stuff. And they look at as phonies because they know as soon as they're out of a job 3 months, they're going to go to Vietnam, Philippines, anywhere, murdering women, children, keep this man in power, and come back and do nigger marches. Do you understand?
I do.
Taj,
Go ahead.
you know, their fraud is so obvious though. You know, in the original 13th Amendment of the Constitution, it says that no person of African descent can be a citizen of the U.S. corporation.
Wait, then we go back
That's
to
the
the
original jump, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Go back to the original. These people,
No, but you gotta look at it. But you gotta look this way. This is where we must temper ourselves.
yeah.
We must stop playing victim because we're not totally victims.
Right.
It is these people that keep on taking them babies to them houses every Sunday, lying, saying they're visiting Jesus, knowing there's no J in Hebrew. Nothing wrong with Jesus, but it's a password.
Right.
Do you understand?
It's true.
There's no J in Hebrew. The letter J weren't used in the language until the 16th century, 1600s. As a matter of fact, introduced 15 and start coming into use in the 1600s. And then they'll turn around, a lot of these people talk about, in the beginning, God gave Jesus his son, assignment of the word. That was made up at the Nicene Council by the bishoprics of Rome, 325 after they murdered him. 325 years later, they made that up. You can find that in an ordinary dictionary. And these nigger, fake parents keep on pretending that they got some kind of Jesusness love for their children, knowing that they're in line with their black hearts. It's the only thing, and people don't have the nerve to tell them the truth about their hypocritical selves. That's why their children don't trust them no more. Most of them don't think they're going to live past 25 with all this fake salvation, speaking in tongue crap that they keep doing, putting it on the civilized world and getting rejected, and then accuse civilization of racism when race is the species. They don't even know the damn language. We're gonna keep telling you about God and Jesus and Allah and everything. Well, the civilized world ain't got no time for that nigger stuff anymore. Why do you think they come from any part of this world, stop at the hardware store, get a thick piece of plexiglass, and if they can last 2 years in the zoo, they can get wealthy? Then they sell it to another nation, and you see other nationals coming, whether it's gas stations or the hair salons or even the food stores, whatever. And these people haven't caught on yet. They don't know that they're outcasts because they're held in dishonor. When you nationalize, you're telling the civilized world, finally, I decided to honor my mothers and fathers, that my days will be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah has given thee. Finally, I'm beginning to honor. And therefore, the common law at that point begins to be recognized. And if you try to get to that birthright outside of that foundation, it ain't going to damn happen. People keep on trying to shortcut. And then he keeps offering a new taffy. Well, you'll apostille this, if you capture this, and if you get this Cusick number, not that those things aren't how, not that they're not used, because they're used by him. But you're not going to be able to use it, because they never allow it. What you should do is try to choke it.
That's it. That's it.
Face that straw man and choke the hell out of him.
And use them like a corporation. Put him out in front.
You got that right. You understand?
Put him behind and you put
But
him
then
in
you're
front.
going to have to learn something to know how to do it, because they're expert at what? Exploitation, because they're vampires. So when you go amongst them, wear turtlenecks, the metallic kind.
With some garlic in it.
And silver bullets.
You know what I mean? You know, 300 crosses around you. And a ring of fire.
How come you wearing a Gucci belt up here? I got my reasons.
You know what I mean?
I'm serious. You know, the same thing, you know, and as we share these things, but at the same time, understand, I'm not saying dismiss these other things, because those are learning curves. But don't put your faith in them because they're treadmills. No, it ain't. Because I know my boy down the street, he sold me this package, and the other one sold for $600. But this one only cost $3. And see, and if you capture this,
I lost a lot of
that's another 2 years wasted life. They run around in circles.
Nah, they ain't gonna waste no time this time. They're gonna be knocking on your door.
The same thing even with the EIN number, because it's the IRS.
The men in black gonna come
Because
in
they
your
got the
door.
bond.
They gonna get the
See,
real
my
men
whole
in
thing is
black.
kill the bond. So they can't use it. That's how you strangle it, because they're never going to allow you to capture it. They, you know, it's like the carrot. They put it just near, you just smell it, and then you start. Oh, this is what I'm saying. How many people do you know? Now listen, this is what I want you all to know, in case you all don't know.
RV, okay.
I'm aware of these cycles, and I've been dealing with these cycles since 1976. I nationalized officially in '82, but I was aware of these things before then. I was an assistant minister in the Nation of Islam when I was 19 years old. I've been around. I've seen it come, I've seen it go. And I've seen these promises. And people keep, but see, I don't just look at things, I examine things.
Because of the wonderful things
I
they've
have
done.
the intelligence to recognize when you're looking at anything that's valid, there's a numerical quality to it, just like any other marketing research. You look at success rate. If they say, man, what you do, see, because if you swim on the other side of the lake, you understand, with them big leeches, you know, they look like alligators to me. No, they're not really. But and if you get on the other side, they let you go to the party. And you get a good dunce hat and go with it. Damn! Right? And you look over there and say, what are those barren trees? No, they're crosses. Stuff all on the shore. Well, how many made it? Well, I know a lot of them made it. Well, can you show me the record? Well, I know this guy that knows this other guy whose cousin did it.
You know that?
Oh, what about all these other hundreds?
Yeah,
You still recording?
That's not a good success rate.
not at all.
Likewise with those who capture the birth certificate, QSIC number, discharge, and all the rest of it. How many do you know, or anyone who's been dealing with any of this stuff, that can give you a list of people and prove to you that they were successful? You can prove that they've been always close to this, and you can only name a couple that ever got vouchers. Not that they don't get that far, but even then, 9 times out of 10, they never get to use them. Do you understand what I'm saying? And their lives get threatened.
Excuse me.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And these people keep on falling for it and calling it success. That's not success. Do you understand what I'm saying?
They will threaten your life.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was successful for 2 months until the electric bill came back.
This is my whole point. Kill the straw man so they can't use, like a bully keep taking your pie. Every time you go down this way, bull take your pie, right? And then you figure out everything, and he keeps taking your pie. Well, stop putting water in the pie, start peeing in it.
I'll give him some pie.
Just like that.
Right? Then after a while, he starts doing